There was a lush, endless green forest where ancient trees arched toward one another until their crowns intertwined and wove a vast emerald dome above the world. Beneath that living roof, the air shimmered with dappled light, heavy with the scent of moss and rain, and alive with the songs of cicadas and the distant calls of unseen creatures. It was evening when Father Wolf, silent and graceful, slipped out of his den to hunt for his family. His paws barely disturbed the forest floor. His yellow eyes caught the last glint of twilight as he moved through the tall ferns. Then through the hush of the forest came a sound he had never heard before. A soft, trembling cry, not of beast, but of something helpless and strange. He froze, ears erect, nostrils quivering until curiosity pulled him toward the bushes. Pushing through the leaves, he saw, wrapped in a scrap of cloth and bathed in moonlight, a tiny abandoned baby. "This is a human child," he murmured. Gently, without so much as pricking the skin, he lifted the infant in his jaws and padded back toward his den. From a shadowed ridge, eyes like coals glared through the dark. It was the Tiger Khan, his stripes a pattern of fire and fury, watching in rage as the wolf carried away the meal he himself had stolen from a nearby village. His lips curled. He would have his revenge. In the den, Mother Wolf looked up as Father Wolf entered. Around her, 4 soft-furred cubs stirred. When she saw the bundle, she rose and sniffed gently. The baby stirred, his eyes wide and fearless. "From now on," she whispered, "we will call him Mowgli. It means brave, for he is a brave baby." The cubs crowded close, noses twitching, tails wagging. Father Wolf lay down, content. And far off in the dark, Tiger Khan prowled, furious that his prey had been stolen. From that day, Mowgli lived among the wolves as one of their own. Mother Wolf fed him with her milk, warmed him beneath her fur, and watched over him as the forest slept. The seasons turned. Rain washed through the valleys. Rivers rose and fell. Flowers returned, and the boy grew strong. His bare feet learned the feel of roots and stone. His ears knew the rustle of danger and the whisper of wind. Soon he was laughing and running with his wolf brothers, tumbling through the grass, swinging from vines like a monkey, splashing in clear pools, and learning the music of the jungle, a home that sang to him in 1,000 voices. But from the shadows, Tiger Khan's blazing eyes followed. He waited, patient and cruel, for the time when the boy would be alone, when the law of the jungle could no longer protect him. One bright morning, the wise old leader of the wolf pack, Akela, stood upon the council rock. His silver fur shimmered with age, and his eyes held the calm of one who had seen many seasons. Beside him stood Baloo, the kindly brown bear whose strength was matched only by his patience, and Bagheera, the sleek black panther who moved like a shadow given form. They spoke softly together, watching the boy who was climbing the rock, laughing as he came. Akela lifted his head and said, "This child grows each day. He must be taught the ways of the jungle, its dangers, its wisdom, and its laws. Baloo, you will teach him the speech of the forest and the secrets of survival. Bagheera, you will guard him and guide his heart." The 2 animals nodded solemnly, for they knew Akela's word was law. From that day, Baloo became Mowgli's teacher and friend. Music. The bear's deep voice rolled like distant thunder as he explained how every creature, great and small, had its place in the jungle. He taught Mowgli how to climb the tallest
son.
trees to reach honey and nuts,
Look
how
at
to
all
judge
that
which
honey.
fruit was safe and which carried poison. "Listen to the forest, little
Wonderful,
brother,"
son.
Baloo
You
would
did
rumble.
it.
"Its sounds will tell you when danger comes and when peace reigns." Mowgli listened carefully, storing every word like treasure. He climbed higher each day, laughed louder, grew braver. Bagheera watched silently from the shadows, stepping in only when the lesson required stealth. He taught Mowgli how to move unseen, how to read the tracks left in mud, how to sense the stillness before a storm. "Man traps with cunning," he warned one dusky evening as the crickets began their song. "Beware the pits and snares they leave. They do not forgive." The panther's eyes glowed with warning. Mowgli nodded, for he had already learned that the forest was as full of mercy as it was of menace. Then came the day when one of the young wolves fell into a pit trap left by men. The terrified cries echoed through the valley. Tiger Khan appeared from the undergrowth, his teeth gleaming, his eyes hungry. "Mine," he growled. But before he could leap, Mowgli raced forward. Thinking fast, he tore branches from a nearby tree, wove them into a rope, and lowered it into the pit. The cub clambered up, trembling. The tiger roared in fury, swiping at them, but the boy's cleverness and courage had again defied him. From that day, Khan's hatred deepened. He swore the boy would one day be his prey. As the moon waxed and waned, Baloo taught Mowgli the magic words, the sacred phrases that bound the jungle in peace. "Use these when you are in danger," said the bear. "Say them to any creature, and they will know you are a friend." Mowgli repeated the words until they were etched into his heart. He felt safe then, believing no beast would ever harm him. But safety in the jungle is fleeting. Tiger Khan, unable to strike alone, slunk away to seek allies. He found them in the Bandalogue, the monkeys who feared no law and obeyed no rule. They were wild and restless, their chatter filling the canopy like a storm of noise. Khan whispered to them about the clever human child who knew the secrets of all creatures. "If you capture him," he purred, "he will teach you his wisdom, and you will rule the jungle." The monkeys' eyes gleamed with greedy delight. They swore to bring the boy to their ruined city in the heart of the jungle, one golden afternoon, as Mowgli built a shelter of branches for his wolf family before an approaching storm. The Bandalogue watched from the treetops, their eyes glinting through the leaves. As the sun sank, two of them swooped down, swift as hawks, and seized him. Mowgli shouted, struggled, but their wiry arms lifted him through the canopy before any cry could reach the wolves. The forest spun beneath him as he was carried across rivers and cliffs to a hill smothered in thick vines. There, the Bandalogue swarmed like ants, their shrieks echoing through the night. Music! The boy's heart pounded, yet he did not panic. He remembered Baloo's words, "Think before you leap." Looking up, he saw a familiar shape gliding against the fading light, the vulture Chill, wings wide and steady. Hope flickered. Mowgli took a deep breath and shouted with all his might, "We be of one blood, thou and I." The words rang through the air, ancient and powerful. Chill turned his head, recognized the friend's call, and circled lower. "I have been captured," Mowgli whispered fiercely as the bird hovered near. "Tell Baloo and Bagheera I need help." "I will," said Chill, his voice like wind through stone. But before he could rise again, a monkey lunged at him. With a beat of wings, the vulture darted skyward and vanished into the clouds. The Bandalogue dragged Mowgli to their crumbling city, the Cold Lairs, a place long deserted by humans, where broken pillars and moss-covered statues stood silent under creeping vines. They flung the boy into the center of the ruins, dancing and screeching in mad delight. Every time he tried to escape, they caught him again, laughing at his fury. He sat at last upon a fallen stone, thinking only of his friends and the endless green beyond the walls. Far away, Baloo and Bagheera heard Chill's cry and knew the truth. Without delay, they went to seek Kaa, the great python, wise and terrible, whose coils could crush a tiger and whose gaze could freeze the boldest heart. They found him by the riverbank, basking in the last light. "Kaa," said Bagheera, "the Bandalogue have taken our little brother." The python's tongue flicked once, twice. "Then we shall teach them respect," he hissed. "Come." The three moved through the jungle like shadows, Baloo's heavy tread muffled by moss, Bagheera's paws silent as smoke, Kaa's vast body gliding over roots and stones. At last, they reached the Cold Lairs and hid behind the great statue of a forgotten elephant, waiting as the moon climbed high. "Now," whispered Kaa, "go!" Bagheera leapt first, a black streak through silver light. His claws flashed. Monkeys scattered in panic. Baloo charged, roaring, his mighty paws sending them tumbling. The air filled with screams and the crash of stone. Kaa slid forward, his coils rising like waves. His eyes gleamed a strange, hypnotic gold. "Come close, little brothers," he whispered, and the monkeys froze, swaying as if caught in a dream. But the Bandalogue were countless. Some seized Mowgli and dragged him into a walled chamber. "We'll keep him," they shrieked. "He'll teach us all his cleverness." Mowgli struggled, but the walls were thick and the door unyielding. Then he remembered something Baloo had told him, that monkeys feared water more than anything. Through a crack in the wall, he shouted, "Bagheera! Run to the water tank, jump in!" Understanding at once, the panther bounded through the ruins, pursued by the mob. He dove into the dark pool just as they reached him, and they halted, screeching in terror.